Hi, in this video we discuss how to import an Excel spreadsheet into SAS. And this is basically a continuation of Chapter 3 where we're bringing in data that's not already a SAS data set into the SAS environment. And we are basically changing it to a SAS data set so we can work with it. So let's review what we did in Chapter 3. In Chapter 3, we looked at two ways to bring data in. One was by using an in-file statement. This was to point to a text file or a CSV file that was already on our machine. And along with our in-file statement, we need an input statement which lists the variables. The other way we brought data in was to include it within our code in data lines, and we still needed an input statement where we listed out our variables. Depending on how many variables you have, this could be tedious and could result in errors. In fact, let's take a look back at the Chapter 3 assignment. The variable list from that assignment was 16 variables long. It's quite possible the first time you tried it, you may have left out one of the names, or maybe you put two out of order and then you had something you had to fix. Well, wouldn't it be great if we could just avoid listing out the variables, especially if we had a very large data set with many, many variables? Well, that's where importing comes in. All right, now let's take a look at this program from Chapter 6. It's all in green text because the author says we first need to import the data from wages.xls. Let's find that data set in the list. There it is. There are actually two versions of it, so let's make sure we get the correct one when we bring it in. Now to import, we're going to use the import utility, and we find it under tasks and utilities. Click that and click import data. And you have the option of dragging your file over or selecting it from a list. Let's select it. And click open. And when we do that, this import utility generates some code for us. It hasn't run it yet, it's just generated it for us. I'm going to take some of that code and insert it into that program that the author created. Take lines 9 through 15. And I'll put it in right above this title statement. And then I'll get rid of these comments. All right, now let's talk through what we have here in this import code. We have our file name statement, which says, all right, I know the name of my Excel spreadsheet and where it's located. I'm going to give it a nickname called refile, and so that's what we have here. It has a file extension of XLS. When I bring this into SAS, I'm going to call it import and send it to my work library, and I'm going to get the names of the variables as they are in the spreadsheet. Well, I'm not happy with calling this import. That's not very descriptive. This spreadsheet is about wages, so I'm going to change import to wages. And if you look down here, I get the idea that our author wants us to make this file permanent rather than temporary, which means we need to specify a library. So let's make a lib name statement right here above the file name. We need our keyword lib name, we need a name for our library, and we need our location. And when we do that, we also need to update the name of our data set in two places. Down here in the proc print step, and up here in out equals. Change work to bas150. Now let's run this. there is my data set. I brought it in. I'm looking at the first 4 observations. Let's go back to the code. See right here in parentheses where it says obs equals 4? That tells SAS to print only the first 4. But let's see how many there are. We made this permanent. Let's go to the correct library. Let's go to the library, bas150. Let's look for wages. Here is the list of variables, and I can click this open, and I can see that there are 5 observations, not just 4. But everything's there, and that was really easy and quick. Proc import is very powerful. Let me review the things that you should pay most attention to. Your file extension, and how you want to name it when you bring it in, whether or not you want it to be temporary or permanent. And that's all there is to it. If you have questions, please email me.